Who doesn't love a green and gorgeous mountain town? Nestled in the mountains of Chiapas lies a town that has an ethereal charm like no other. A captivating town where history, culture, and natural beauty exist in perfect symphony. Welcome to one of my favorite places in Mexico, San Cristobal de las Casas. Welcome back to Mexico Relocation Guide. I am your host and friend, Mariana. Today, we'll go on a journey through the winding cobblestone streets and vibrant alleys, peering into the soul of a town steeped in rich indigenous heritage and colonial legacies. But San Cristobal de las Casas is more than a living museum of history. It is a thriving hub of creativity and cultural expression. There are countless artists, musicians, and poets that have found inspiration within this city to embrace it, infusing the town's vibrant energy into their craft and shaping its contemporary identity. We'll walk through the streets and alleys of this lovely town, breaking down all the aspects for what it would be like to live here. And by the end of the video, you'll be able to determine if San Cristobal de las Casas is the right place for you to call home. So let's get started. Comencemos. The region where San Cristobal de las Casas now stands was inhabited at one point by indigenous civilizations, particularly the Tzotzil and Celtal. Both are Mayan communities. The Spanish conqueror Diego de Mazariegos founded the town in March 31st, 1528. First, it was named Villarreal de Chiapas. It was initially established as a Spanish colonial outpost. The town's strategic location in the fertile valley and its proximity to indigenous populations made it a vital center for Spanish colonizers to expand. San Cristobal de las Casas became an important religious and administrative center during the colonial era. Spanish conquistadores and religious orders constructed grand cathedrals, palaces, and manors, many of which still stand today as architectural gems and reminders of the town's colonial past. In 1829, the city changed its name to Ciudad de San Cristobal, and in 1848, the last name, de las Casas, was added to honor Fray Bartolomé de las Casas, who was an evangelist and protector of the indigenous people during the colonial period. Now, the town's historical significance, colorful traditions, and natural surroundings earned it the designation of a Pueblo Mágico in 2003. Today, San Cristobal de las Casas remains a charming place where history, culture, and tradition intermingle harmoniously, inviting travelers to explore its cobblestone streets, experience its lively markets, and immerse themselves in the captivating essence of this ancient and marvelous town. So what is it like to live here? Well, first, let's get started with the weather. San Cris, as it's commonly referred to by locals, is located in the highlands of the state of Chiapas. It has a mild and temperate climate throughout the year. The town's elevation is approximately 2,200 meters, or 7,200 feet above sea level, which contributes to its pleasant weather conditions. To give you a better idea, we could divide the seasons in San Cristobal by dry and rainy seasons, since most of the year you'll enjoy pleasant temperatures ranging from 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The dry season is the most popular time to visit San Cristobal de las Casas. It goes from November through April. At this point, the weather is generally cool and dry. The days are often sunny with clear blue skies and an average daytime temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit or 21 degrees centigrade. The nights can get quite chilly, with temperatures dropping to around 5 degrees centigrade to 10 degrees centigrade, which is ranging between 41 degrees Fahrenheit to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The rainy season lasts between May through October, and during these months you'll experience constant rainfall, especially in the afternoon and in the evenings. But that's what makes the lush landscapes and surrounding mountains come alive. They get vibrant and green during this time. In my humble opinion, San Cristobal offers one of the most pleasant year-round temperatures in all of Mexico, especially if you're like me and you enjoy chilly, mountainous climates. Then you will surely enjoy this place. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know I cover a lot of cities in Mexico that are popular with expats and foreigners. But I also want to teach you that Mexico is so much more than the resort towns. There are places like San Cris that are as authentically Mexican as you can get. You'll find very few foreigners living here full-time. Regardless, the city is very friendly towards foreigners. The local community is known for its warm hospitality and welcoming attitude towards visitors from different parts of the world. And even though you may occasionally hear there is an anti-immigration sentiment from Mexicans towards other foreigners coming to live in Mexico, the truth is that the majority of locals are welcoming. But you can always earn your place in the community by trying to integrate, shopping at local places, learning Espanol, learning about the local culture, and those kinds of things will go a long way in Mexico. And that's why I love San Cris so much. It isn't exactly an expat destination. Even though you will see a lot of foreigners and backpackers on the streets, you will find that living here full-time means adapting to a Mexican way of life. The town has gained an international reputation as a popular tourist destination thanks to its status as a Pueblo Mágico, which has contributed to a culture of openness and appreciation for cultural diversity. Now, long before this tourism boom started, San Cris was known as a hidden gem among some foreign explorers who came looking for more authentic Mexican towns. These old-school tourists came around the 70s and 80s as backpackers, and many of them fell in love with the town and just stayed. Now, many of the foreigners who were and are still attracted to San Cris came looking for a place where they can find inspiration and let creativity run free. So you can imagine that this is a very artsy and hippie town with a strong presence of musicians, painters, designers, performers, and everything within the art realm. So what you'll see in terms of the community will be, in a word, diversity. The local community itself is very diverse, and there's a strong presence of indigenous communities such as tzotziles and setales, who are predominant ethnic groups in the region. Another notable thing about San Cris, and all of Chiapas for that matter, is that you won't only hear Spanish being spoken, but a variety of other dialects from the dozens of indigenous communities that come to sell their crafts and arts from the neighboring mountain towns. Now, if you plan to live here, you'll probably want to know where you should look for housing and what you can expect your cost of living to be. So let's get into that next. A lot of locals would probably agree with me when I say that one of San Cris's greatest perks is its size. It's relatively small, but with enough growth to provide good quality services, as well as diversity in products and goods. In other words, regardless of where you choose to live, it won't be hard to access your basic needs. The most obvious area to live in San Cris would be the central area. This is where most activities take place, and you'll find everything to live your life comfortably, with the added bonus of not needing a car to get around. Now, when I say central area, I mean not only downtown, but also the neighboring barrios or neighborhoods. Some of these barrios include, obviously, the Centro, Barrio del Cerrillo, Barrio de Guadalupe, Barrio de Santa Lucia, Barrio de Mexicanos, and Barrio de la Merced. Of course, San Cristobal de las Casas is bigger than these neighborhoods, and there are several other barrios, but we'll stick to the central areas. Now, however, as I mentioned, the town size matters. It's very accessible. In my opinion, I wouldn't worry too much about distances, since it would be fairly easy to move around regardless of your location, as long as you stay within the urban area. The nice thing about any neighborhood in Mexico is that they each usually have all the basic necessities within a block or two, such as convenience stores, a coffee shop, a laundromat, a small grocery store, or tienda de abarrotes, and the kinds of things that you'd need for your day-to-day life without having to drive your car. So what about housing? Well, unlike other cities in Mexico, rental prices here don't really change based on location, but rather the size, amenities, whether bills are included or not, furnished versus unfurnished, and those kinds of things. What I found is that a one-bedroom furnished apartment with a small kitchen, bathroom, maybe access to a communal patio or terrace will go for somewhere around 4,000 to 7,000 pesos a month. The gap would depend mainly on what kind of extra amenities you get, like utilities included, house cleaning, laundry room, those kinds of things. However, as long as you look in one of the neighborhoods that I mentioned earlier, the price won't change much. Maybe just a couple of 100 pesos between one or the other, but nothing too crazy. If you need something bigger, like a 2-bedroom apartment, or maybe even a house with 2 to 3 bedrooms, these are going to go for 6,000 to 10,000 pesos a month. Now, because the exchange rates from Canadian dollars, US dollars, or any other currency to pesos change so much from one month to the next, I'm going to give you all examples in pesos. If you need to convert those to your currency, I recommend using an app like xe.com. Now, Keep in mind that San Cris has one of the best weathers in Mexico year-round, so you won't need air conditioning, and heating isn't common in most homes, which means your electricity costs will be pretty low, and a lot of landlords include electricity in their rental agreements. As in any other growing city, rent prices are always fluctuating, and it depends on what kind of lifestyle you want for yourself. I'm giving you some estimates for homes that would be ideal for someone wanting to live on $1,500 a month. If your budget is higher, you'll be able to rent a nicer house. In other words, if you come with a bigger budget and are looking for a more high-end lifestyle, you can easily find it here as well. Whether you land a good deal on a colonial house in the central areas or you're looking for a luxury home on the hills, it's all possible in this charming little town. Now, just a footnote on the subject of rental prices. Please make sure to do your due diligence on what average cost of living is for locals too. That way you stick to those standards and you avoid contributing to unfair rise in rent prices. A good way to know what the fair price is to get in touch with a local or trusted house hunter who can answer your questions with reliable information and who's also not trying to add the famous gringo tax onto their rentals. It's also convenient to keep a guide or a local like this on your side when the negotiations and signing of documents take place, whether to just translate and guide you through the process or to help you detect some kind of scam or ripoff. A local friend, or at least someone who speaks fluent Spanish and is familiar with the area and the rental procedure, is always of great help. And once you are well informed, don't fall into the practice of just offering more money in order to secure a lease. Make sure your offer is based on the fair market price. That way you don't contribute to a sudden rise on rent in specific neighborhoods or an area of town. So what about the cost of utilities? Well, let's get into that next. You can expect a more than reasonable monthly average when it comes to utility bills. Electricity will be very affordable since you're in a town when there's absolutely no need for air conditioning or heating. So your monthly average would be somewhere around 500 to 800 pesos for a two-person household. The bill is usually paid every 2 months. And keep in mind, a lot of landlords include electricity in their rental agreement, so make sure you ask for what's included and if there's a limit on your consumption. Now, water is provided by a government agency called SAPAM. Your bill is paid every month and it goes for around 300 to 500 pesos. If it isn't included in your agreement, or if you own a property, keep in mind that these are things that you would have to pay on your own. Gas is provided by a few companies such as Gascom, Sony Gas, or Rama Gas. Whether you have a gas cylinder or a fixed tank, your monthly average should come around to 350 pesos. Now, San Cristobal de las Casas is actually a really popular destination for digital nomads, meaning that good and fast internet is usually available, especially in the neighborhoods that we mentioned. If you need reliable fast internet, look for areas that have fiber optic available, since this technology is not available in the whole town. If you get a 1 gigabyte fiber optic Wi-Fi connection, you can expect to pay somewhere around 1,600 to 1,800 pesos a month. Instead, if you need a very basic package with 20 megabytes download speed, then this will cost you around 300 to 400 pesos. The difference in pesos would be depending on the company you choose. The main providers for this are usually Telmex, Total Play, and Mega Cable. You can also get satellite internet with Starlink, which is a growing trend with digital nomads in Mexico. So as you can see, San Cristobal is one of the most affordable places to live in Mexico from all of the cities we have covered in our channel. And it's one of the most beautiful towns I have ever been to. However, it's worth mentioning that even though you can easily live in San Cris for $1,500 a month, you will need to qualify for residency in Mexico to live here legally. And depending on your situation, the income requirements to live in Mexico go above $1,500 a month. To get the most up-to-date income requirements for residency in Mexico, follow the first link you'll see in the comments of this video. Now, one of your biggest expenses in Mexico will be your shopping and groceries. So let's go over what options you have in San Cris. Now, San Cristobal de las Casas offers a diverse range of options for getting groceries, which are catering to different preferences and budgets. As always, let's start with the local markets. The town boasts several local markets where you can find an array of fresh produce, meats, dairy products, and local specialties. Some of the popular markets include Mercado José Castillo Tielemans or Mercado Viejo, which is a market with a great selection of fresh produce, meats, and other everyday necessities. What's nice is that it also has small restaurants where you can eat very well for as little as 60 pesos. You have two other markets like this one where you can get fresh fruits, fish, vegetables, meats, dairy, and everything at very affordable prices. To the south, you have the Merposur market, which is a bulk market with great quality products, and to the north, there is Mercado Norte. Anywhere you live in Mexico, there are also small stores that sell the most basic things. These are known as tienditas, and they usually say abarrotes or miscelánea on the front of the store. Now, what I love about San Cris is that there's a solid organic scene when it comes to produce, seeds, dairy, and even cosmetics and personal care. You'll find several organic markets and stores all around town, which is pretty convenient if you're into a more sustainable life with products and those kinds of practices. Now, right in the atrium of the Santo Domingo Temple, a big permanent handcrafts market gives life to San Cris every day. This is a Mercado de Artesanías in Santo Domingo. And it's a great place to find unique pieces of handmade clothing, jewelry, houseware, and decorations. It's like a maze of colors, textures, and shapes that really fascinates everyone who walks through it. Then there's a tourist favorite, which is the Mercado de Dulces y Artesanías. This market is famous for its sweet treats and artisanal crafts. As well as the Santo Domingo market, this one is focused on handcrafted items, with the difference being that in this one you can find a lot of vendors selling traditional regional candy. Now, these markets are more catered to tourists. However, many locals frequent them looking for unique trinkets and gifts. I will always try to encourage you to shop local first, but there is the convenience of a big box store that has everything you need under one roof and is always stocked with the same things. Now, some of the supermarket chains that you'll find here are Chedraui, Soriana, Bodega Aurrera, as well as Walmart and Sam's Club, in case you need to buy in bulk or are looking for more specific brands from back home. These supermarkets and some department stores like Electra and Coppel would be your options to get home appliances and kitchen appliances. San Cristobal de las Casas doesn't have big malls like you're used to north of the border. If you want to go shopping for clothes, shoes, perfumes, and other items like these, you'll need to travel to Tuxtla Gutiérrez, which is the capital of Chiapas, and it's an hour away from San Cris. Or you can always order from Amazon Mexico and have things delivered to your front door. Pharmacies are abundant throughout the town, and many medications that require a prescription in other countries can be purchased over the counter in Mexico. Also, in many of these pharmacies or farmacias, you'll find a doctor on site who is ready to give you a routine checkup or consulta. They can do lab work and even write you a prescription. The cost for these minor consultations is normally 50 pesos. If you're in need of more major medical care, then I recommend the best private hospital in town, HOSEM, which stands for Hospital y Centro Médico San Cristobal. This hospital can handle surgeries, emergencies, has a pediatrics department, and obstetric. Pro tip, in Mexico, it is common for each hospital to have their own private ambulances. I recommend saving the phone number to a local private ambulance wherever you move in Mexico as part of your move-in checklist. There are some English-speaking doctors at HOSEM in San Cristobal. However, keep in mind that not all answering services will speak English. It's important to learn at least a few basic emergency keywords, and how to say your address in Spanish is also important. So how do you get to San Cris? Well, there is no airport in San Cris, so getting here requires you to either fly into the International Ángel Albino Airport in Tuxtla Gutiérrez, then taking a bus to San Cristobal de las Casas from the airport. Or you can also hire a taxi, you can drive here with a rental car, or bus here from another destination. Once you're in San Cris, finding ways to move around won't be hard at all. This is a relatively small town, and even though it's growing, many of its attractions, restaurants, shops, markets, and anything that you would need are all within walking distance from the central areas. You also have a nice network of public bus routes, which is very affordable to move around the city. There are also taxis all around town, and they offer a convenient and affordable mode of transportation. You can easily find taxi stands in popular areas or hail a taxi on the street. They should charge you around 50 to 60 pesos per ride within the city limits. You also have colectivos, which are shared vans that operate on fixed routes within the town and to nearby villages. Look for the colectivo stops marked with signs or ask locals for assistance. A colectivo should charge between 15 to 30 pesos, depending on where you're going. Now, if you're going further distances, there is a nice ADO bus station. ADO, or ADEO, is a luxury bus company that connects pretty much all the southeast of the country all the way up to Mexico City. Now, if you're not into road trips, you are just 1.5 hours away from the International Ángel Albino Airport in Tuxtla Gutiérrez, where you can fly everywhere else within Mexico. And this airport also has direct flights to some cities in Canada and the United States. So what is there to do for fun? Well, despite the town being small, there is a lively vibe and a ton of bars, restaurants, cafes, and activities that you'll be able to enjoy on a regular basis. As in any other pueblo mágico, most of its charm will be found in the charming streets near Centro. Walking around here is an activity in itself. You can admire the old world charm and the great architectural features. This and the fact that the town is very pedestrian friendly make the simple experience of walking around a nice way to spend your free time. Not only can you learn the glorious past of San Cristobal by walking around, but diving into the past isn't the only thing that you can do when walking around the beautiful streets. There are other things to do, like museums. There's the National Amber Museum, the Mesoamerican Museum of Jade, the Mayan Textile Center, as well as a great variety of art galleries, design studios, workshops, again, numerous coffee shops, bars, and restaurants with live music. In fact, the modern marimba with a double keyboard was created in Chiapas. So you will hear the marimba being played all over San Cris. If you like live music, you can really appreciate this beautiful instrument. The vibe here is bohemian, hippie, and laid back. My kind of town. And what I like about San Cris is that because there is constant tourism, the streets are never truly empty, so it feels safe walking alone at night. But as always, use your common sense and be aware of your surroundings. We take food matters very seriously at Mexico Relocation Guide. Now, the more we researched and listened to other expats, the more we understand how important it is that a town or city offers a wide and tasty diversity of food options. Well, you're in luck, because Chiapas gastronomy is very rich, as the state sits on a privileged region in terms of natural resources, which provides a great source of unique ingredients and spices. Now, probably the most iconic dish in Chiapas is tamales, which, yes, I know tamales can be found everywhere in Mexico. However, tamales are made with different recipes and styles depending on the region of Mexico. And tamales in Chiapas are a big deal. You can find at least 20 different variations of tamales in Chiapas alone. In San Cris, you'll find tamales wrapped in both corn leaves and banana leaves, my favorite. These are filled with cheese, chicken, pork, mole, chipilín, which is a regional plant, beans, and sometimes they can be sweet or savory. Now, besides tamales, you have several other dishes that form part of the culinary fabric of Chiapas, such as cochito, butifarra, chalupas, queso asado, sopa de pan, just to name a few. You can also have the very iconic agua de chia, which is a kind of lemonade with chia seeds. It's delicious, great for digestion. Now, let's not forget some other drinks like pozol, tascalate, champurrado, atole, posh, and of course, the star in Chiapas, coffee. If you're a coffee snob like me, you will love San Cristobal. This region of Mexico is well known for its production of great quality coffee beans. The climate conditions of the area make it kind of a perfect place to grow on large scales. For over a century, Chiapas has been producing top quality coffee, with its internationally recognized as one of the best beans in the world. In other words, there is a big and veteran coffee scene here. And good coffee is virtually guaranteed in any place that you sit. And many local producers offer regular tastings as well as full experiences where you can go to the plantations and see the whole process with an expert. How cool is that, huh? If you're more of a night owl, a nice night out can start by just strolling around Centro, maybe enjoying some live music at one of the many squares around the town, dance a little, or maybe just observe. Have a snack from one of the street vendors. Then you can go to one of the andadores, which are just pedestrian-only streets. The most famous one is Andador Guadalupe, which goes right through the barrio de Guadalupe. And all along this alley, you'll see endless stores, bars, restaurants, boutiques, art galleries, and all kinds of other shops. Basically, you can spend the whole day walking around the street, going from one store to the other until the sun sets and it's time to have a break. get a glass of wine, or maybe some hot chocolate and enjoy the rest of the evening. Then, for those who like to call it a night away after midnight, you do have a solid bar and club scene. Plus, there are a few breweries in town where you can also enjoy some artisanal local cerveza. But if you're more into festivals, the town hosts several cultural and religious festivals throughout the year. As in any other Mexican town, you have the national holidays like Independence Day or Día de la Independencia, Día de Muertos, Semana Santa. But here in San Cristobal, you have festivities for the town's anniversary at the end of every March. There's a Feria de la Primavera y la Paz, which is a Peace and Spring Fair, which is also held every year, and it brings a fair amount of people, has mechanical games, lots of food, regional gastronomy, concerts, and performances. And one of the most important festivals in San Cris would be the one that takes place at the end of October, and it's called the International Baroque Festival Cervantes. It lasts a week, and it brings artists from all over the world to share their creations with the community. You'll be able to catch performances, concerts, expos, street art, foodie experiences, and you'll meet lots of interesting people. It's definitely a must-see in San Cris. Perhaps one of the best things about living in San Cristobal is all of the things you can visit because of its geographical location. The region of the Chiapas Highlands is as rich in culture as it is in natural wonders. If you enjoy being surrounded by nature and nice hikes, this is the perfect place. There are several hiking trails on the outskirts of the city, such as Don Lauro's Mountain or Montetic. Both are very accessible. You can even get there by walking. Or if you have a car, you can go to El Arcotete or to Rancho Nuevo. Both are also natural reserves with hiking trails, rock formations, and caves, which are ideal if you want to get away from the city noise. Now, if you want to explore further, you can hop on a colectivo or rent a car and explore the rest of the towns that sit in the region. One of the most impressive is San Juan Chamula and Sinacantan. Both towns are about 30 to 40 minutes away from San Cris, and both of them have been getting attention from tourists because they're part of several tours and travel agencies that offer tours. These kinds of tours are what you call ethnotourism. Now, you can visit these towns on your own with no need for a travel agency or guide. However, be mindful that these are self-governed towns, meaning the police of Mexico or the local police of Chiapas do not have any jurisdiction here, and these towns have a different set of rules and ways to enforce it. For instance, to access the town of San Juan Chamula, you need to pay a fee, and once you're there, you have to be very cautious with the usage of your camera. You can take pictures of the town and the church from the outside, but pictures are strictly forbidden inside the church, which is the town's main attraction. And boy, is it a sight to see. I highly recommend it. Now, if you have a car or at least are able to get access to one, I strongly recommend you explore the whole state. In my humble opinion, Chiapas is one of the most beautiful states in all of Mexico, and that is saying a lot. Mexico is well known for having some of the most breathtaking landscapes in the world, and Chiapas is certainly at the center of some of these beautiful, stunning places. You have places like El Cañón del Sumidero, the Montebello Lakes, El Chifón Waterfalls, Agua Azul Waterfalls, the ruins of Palenque, the Lacandona Jungle, and so much more. Chiapas is truly an incredible state. The first time I visited San Cristobal de las Casas a few years ago, I knew this place was very special, and I'm so happy I finally get a chance to share it with all of you. Personally, I think the weather is awesome, the landscapes are fantastic, food is really good and affordable. Same goes with housing. It's not super big, so moving around is not a big issue, but it's grown enough to provide good quality services and goods. And you have a solid and growing artistic community. Again, in my book, that sounds like a great deal. But hey, don't take it from me or don't take my word for granted. You have to come and see it for yourself. Now, don't forget to give this video a like if you've loved this tour of San Cris, and please share this video if you know someone who might be interested. If you're interested in moving to Mexico, make sure you visit our website, mexicorelocationguide.com. So this isn't goodbye, just an hasta luego. I will see you all in our next video. Saludos amigos. Adios.